Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Today on episode 89 of the Cinema Geeks,
we take a look back at our March movie predictions.
We discuss the best and worst trailers to debut over the past couple weeks.
And we take a look ahead at what the month of April has in store for us, along with some new predictions.
All that and more coming up on episode 89 with the Cinema Geeks.
That's right, it's episode 89 of the Cinema Geeks. I am Optimus Solo, one of your Cinema Geeks. Joining me today is Hard Candy Mandy. Hello.
What up?
Ladies first today.
Of course.
Movie Revolt Dan. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. And joining us, Matt Fridley sent. Hello.
Hi. Gordon Ramsay makes it look easy.
Matt is trying to have some dinner before work, and apparently it was a kitchen nightmare. So, cheese soup, though, does sound interesting. I will give you that much.
There's a really nice diner on East State Street if you want to try some good cheese soup. That's who inspired me.
It sounds awful.
Oh, it's great.
Like I said, it either sounds like queso or just like, I don't know. Like,
that's like when you run out of chips in your bag and there's still queso.
It's like that nacho cheese you get at like the ball games, you know? Like
it's not supposed to be thicker than a stew, and it's got chopped up vegetables and stuff in it. It's just mine didn't turn out.
Just peppers. But...
No, not peppers, Dan. It's like potatoes and things.
So it's more like a stew.
Yeah, it's like a cheese stew. Does that make you feel better?
That makes it sound better or worse? Oh, goodness. Amanda, no thoughts on the cheese soup or cheese stew?
No, I would not get down on the cheese snot that you have in your bowl.
Man, I'm taking everyone to this place on Saturday, and we're going to try it, and everyone's going to be happy and be like, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to be happy because I have to work on Saturday, so I will not be going to enjoy your queso soup.
That's depressing. All right, we're going to take a look back at our inaugural predictions for March and kind of review March as a month a little bit, and then we'll shift our attention towards April and make some new fun predictions about the month ahead. And then after the break, we'll get into some extensive trailer talk as well, because there's been a plethora of trailers to come out over the last couple of weeks, including one major trailer that was released the day here that we're recording that we'll probably add into the conversation. So let's start with look back at March. Basically, if you kind of break it down, there was 20 films in March that hit some type of theater release. So when we're talking about these different statistics and Rotten Tomatoes and box office and stuff like that, we're basically talking about those 20 films. So if there are some smaller, straight to demand or very limited release films, we might be skipping over them. We're not ignoring that they exist. We're just not kind of including them on our prediction tally, if you want to say it that way. Before we get into the actual Rotten Tomatoes and the box office and how our predictions went, Dan, how did you think March did as far as a month goes here in the film world?
I thought it was a pretty uneven month. Obviously highlighted by Batman v Superman just as a big release of the month, but which obviously we talked about last week and had mixed feelings on, to say the least. But then you also had, some smaller films that were something like Zootopia, which I think exceeded some expectations, and some smaller films that did pretty well, like MSpecial. So I felt like, there were some good things there, but considering the tentpole for this month was Batman v Superman, I would probably say it's more of a downer month.
A lot of people so far I'm hearing not raving about 2016 so far. Amanda, do you feel like the year's been okay so far, or has it been a letdown through the first 3 months?
I think it's had its ups and downs, definitely. This month for me, I think, was kind of a solid month because there was a couple things that I really didn't think I was going to enjoy as much as I did, and I think I got a little bit more out of some things that I was unsure about going into it. Zootopia actually not being one of those. I was kind of let down. There wasn't anything awesome, didn't really do much for me. But there's a couple things I still really need to see, like Midnight Special. and I really want to see The Other Side of the Door. So there's a couple things that I think I'm going to have to catch up on at some point, but Cloverfield Lane rocked my socks way beyond expectations. Eye in the Sky that we just recently saw was another one that I didn't think that I'd have a ton of fun with. It was definitely a good journey for me. I was mildly surprised at my enjoyment at that one too. And of course, Bats vs. Soups, I love that way more than everybody else on the planet, apparently. So, yeah, kind of an up and down year, but a little bit of a solid month for me.
And just to tease a little bit later as well, since Matt was not with us last week and did not get to sound off on Batman vs. Superman, he is going to chime in later, so definitely stay tuned for that. After the break, we're going to get his thoughts on Batman vs. Superman as well, and maybe he'll be able to cast a deciding vote, because last week we were all across the board with Amanda at 7 out of 10, Dan 5 out of 10, and myself 3 out of 10. So we'll have to see where Matt weighs in on that once we get to that point. Matt, I don't know how many other films you've seen that have come out here in March or for the year so far. Do you have any highlights through the first 3 months?
2016 is no 2015, I'll tell you that much. Because 2015 we were talking about back in 2013, and 2016 is just like, hey, it's here, I guess. There's, I don't know, one movie I'm interested in all year. Well, I mean, there's a couple that I'm a little bit interested in. Like, I'm interested in Passengers a little bit, and I'm interested in some other things over here and there. And, of course, the Marvel movies are always going to excite me. But, any year that there's a Star Wars, which every year from now on, the Star Wars movie is going to be the most interesting movie that year to me.
I don't mind the way you're thinking there. I'm definitely stoked for that, especially with the trailer being released today. But let's get right into the nitty-gritty of what happened back in March, and let's get in to see who of us is the best predictor so far. We're going to keep a tally going all year, so it'll be kind of like they do on Dan, like the NFL pregame shows where they keep the leaderboard going. We'll try to do something like that and see who's the best predictor. So
far it's me, just saying, throwing it out there.
Spoiler alert.
Throwing it out there.
Unless you predicted that wrong, and then there's that.
Right. So let's get in first to our box office predictions, and we'll start with our picks to click. Dan, your pick to click was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, and judges have ruled this as a correct pick for you, a correct prediction. I know that even when we did the podcast that you said maybe the opening weekend would outdo Avengers opening weekend.
Yeah, I was kind of off on that.
Which it did not do, but I don't think we can call it wrong when it has made $263 million so far. So, I mean, it's sitting in the third slot for the whole year.
Which is what my year box office prediction put it at.
Uh-oh.
So if it does not move.
So even though it might not have done as well as you hoped it would, Dan, it definitely did make a lot of money in that opening weekend, and I think that's good enough to make it a correct pick to click. I don't know if you're with us on that.
If you're saying I'm right, I'm right there with you.
All right, so 1 for 1 so far, Dan, with the picks to click. Amanda and I doubled down and picked the same movie last month. I know that's boring, but we both picked Zootopia, and it has made $276 million. It's the number 2 grossing film of the year so far, so we will give ourselves a point each on that one too. So a clean sweep for picks to click. Apparently that's one thing that we know how to do so far. If we shift our attention to our bets to bomb, Dan, you had My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. It made $37 million, but I think it's safe to say that was underperforming if you compare it to My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the original. And so a favorable judging this first month has called that a correct bet to bomb as well. So
there you go.
The judges are in your favor so far.
I feel like Dan's skating by on a lot of technicalities.
I think I am. I'm okay with it.
And then Amanda and I, again, I guess, decided to pick the same film, so we had both picked Divergent series Allegiant, and it has made $56 million on its $183 million budget. So I think that's a safe bet to qualify as a bomb. So, again, a clean sweep of the bet to bomb category as well. So far, no predictions wrong, and it looks like we know what we're doing, and then we get to the wild cards. So my wild card pick was that Brothers Grimsby would make more than Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot made $22 million and the Brothers Grimsby made 6.
I didn't realize it did that poorly. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't until I looked up the numbers and felt pretty silly for doing what I did there with that pick. So I will get no points for the wild card category. Dan, you had Midnight Special having more of a profit than 10 Cloverfield Lane, and you got bit by the fact that we should have learned our lesson because this film was supposed to come out like 17 years ago. Yeah. And it just keeps getting pushed, and then it was supposed to come out in March, and I think it came out in like one theater.
Yeah. One guy's living room, and that was about it. So
I mean, it might, in the long run, your pick might have been right.
But not
it might have better profit than 10 Cloverfield Lane eventually, but it would have to be released in theaters near us at some point in order for that to happen. So far, we'll count that as a wrong prediction, which means that Amanda's prediction that 10 Cloverfield Lane would make more than Midnight Special is the correct prediction. It made $63 million, and Midnight Special is currently sitting at 1. So
that's a pretty big trouncing.
So Amanda, 3 for 3 in your box office predictions. Dan and I will each take 2 out of 3. Amanda, how you feeling so far?
Like a champ.
She's not going to comment anymore. She just likes the way things are going so far.
Keep it happening.
Real quick to get your guys' some more thoughts on the box office and how it's gone. I want to see if you guys could predict so far. Like I said, we had about 20 films that were released in March. Since you were so good at this, Amanda, do you know what the top 5 films were for March as far as the ones that made the most money? Got any guesses on any of them?
I would say...
You know, like a couple.
In the same order? Like in the order?
Just any order. The top 5.
I'm going to say Batman vs. Superman.
That's one of them.
Zootopia.
That's another.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
That is another.
Batman vs.
You already said that. She's running out of options.
I don't remember what came out.
There was 5 films that made more than $50 million. So we have Zootopia at 276, Batman vs. Superman at 263, 10 Cloverfield Lane at 63. Dan, any idea of what the other 2 are?
Well, Divergent would that.
Divergent was 56,
and then
there's one other one.
London Has Fallen.
London Has Fallen at 59. So those are your top 5 moneymakers for the month of March, the only ones that made over $50 million. So,
what a month.
Yeah, decent month, especially with 2 films that made over $250 million. So that's definitely impressive. All right, that means it's time to make some predictions for April when it comes to the box office. So, Amanda, you were 3 for 3, so we'll give you the chance to go first, and you can go anywhere you want. Do you want to do a pick to click, a bet to bomb, or do you want to start off with your wild card?
Oh, shit, no, I'm still torn on my wild card. Let's do, I'm going to pick my click.
Pick to click?
The Huntsman.
The Huntsman. Winter's War as your pick to click. Disturbs me a little bit, because that is also my pick to click. I thought I was being a little bit outside the box, but I guess I am not at all.
See, I didn't pick Jungle Book because I thought you were going to pick Jungle Book.
I stayed away from Jungle Book on this one. I went with The Huntsman as well. I think it's going to... I couldn't find anywhere else to make a prediction for that except for right here with making some money, so I'm going to join you on that one. Dan, what's your pick to click?
I'll go with Jungle Book then, because that's...
All right, so Jungle Book and a double dose of The Huntsman, Winter's War as our thoughts of making money in this month. Matt, you're an observer right now. What do you think of our picks so far? Are we going to be right or wrong?
I don't got a lot of faith in The Huntsman, honestly.
No faith in The Huntsman, so we might be...
I thought that got pushed back, but I guess it didn't, so I don't know.
I hope it didn't.
No, it didn't. I just thought we talked about it getting pushed back. Then it didn't happen. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we need to go now. Batman vs. Superman is tanking. Put it out. Make some money.
I feel like movies not getting pushed back is bigger news nowadays.
Yeah. It seems to be that way. Amanda, back to you. You want to do a bet to bomb or a wild card?
Let's do bet to bomb. I'm going to say Hardcore Henry. I think people are going to be running out of the theater puking.
That means they still paid for the ticket.
But then they're going to tell their friends not to go see that.
I was real close to picking that because I can't imagine a lot of people saying that they're going to test fate and say, I'm going to put money down even though I know I might not make it through this movie.
I would like to be able to, but the execution, no. I couldn't even send you the preview, so...
All right, so one bomb pick for Hardcore Henry. That's the right title, right?
Yes.
Dan, what do you got for your bet to bomb?
I'll go with... I was going back and forth with this because you never know with the Gary Marshall movie if it will do well or do badly. But considering it's not even coming out Mother's Day weekend, I'm going to go with Mother's Day as my best bomb. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Valentine's Day did very good, if I remember correctly. That was a while back, but I like that pick. I think that one could end up being terrible all the way across the board. So we're all going to have different bomb picks, though, because I am going to go with the Kevin Costner pick, Criminal. I just don't see people getting behind this one, and I don't know how much of a budget it has, but there's a little bit of action and probably some explosions and some sci-fi stuff, so it feels like there's going to be at least some type of budget there, so I don't think it's going to make it. So Criminal, Mother's Day, and Hardcore Henry. Matt, how'd we do there?
I don't know. I was going to say I would expect Mother's Day to do well just because, like, what other... Like, if it's like Valentine's Day, what other rom-coms do they have to compete with? And also, I would figure rom-com would be a very low-budget movie, but I did just search up Valentine's Day, and it had a $50 million budget, and I saw that weekend, not of my choice, and I can only guess that that's because of how many superstars it had in it.
Yeah,
that's the cost of casting all of those people in one film. And I don't think it made it back, did it?
Yeah, it did. It more than doubled it.
Did? Oh, okay. So we'll have to wait and see if Mother's Day fares the same or worse. Wild card time, then. Amanda, what do you got?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on mine.
Do you need a second?
I either want to say The Boss beats out Keanu or Keanu beats out The Boss.
That's two completely different decisions.
But not really. It's just flopped. So
it's completely different. Well, we'll let you think about that for a second, because mine's not going to be anything to do with either of those films. And I'm going to actually make a specific prediction for the last weekend of the month, the last weekend in April. Neither of these films will be coming out that weekend. Jungle Book will have come out 2 weeks prior, and Huntsman, The Winter's War will have come out the week before. I'm going to say that the last weekend of the month, no new film is going to reign supreme. It's going to be Huntsman and Jungle Book taking the number 1 and the number 2 spot in the last weekend of the month. I don't know if that's a easy prediction or not, but there's a couple films coming out that last week, and I don't think they're going to compete with those two. I think Jungle Book for the 3rd week in a row will be at the top, and Huntsman for the 2nd week in a row will be at the top. So, Dan, what about you?
I'm going to say that the Huntsman, whatever subtitle it is, I forget, Snow Queen
Winter's
Attack
War.
Revenge. That is going to make less this opening weekend than the original did. So the original is going to have a bigger opening weekend than its sequel.
Okay, I can see that. I think I don't know why I feel like there's more hype for this one. I don't know if it's just because of the addition of a couple of the actors, but man, I guess it's hard to predict. Dan, or Matt, you said you were kind of down on that one too, so you're supporting that prediction?
I don't think it's going to do well.
Okay.
But I do think it looks very interesting from a fantasy movie standpoint.
I think that one's going to be interesting to see how the reaction goes. I think it can definitely swing either way. Amanda, have you made a decision? Is it Boss or Keanu?
It's going to be The Boss.
The Boss makes more than Keanu.
The Boss is going to beat out Keanu.
Boss over Keanu. All right. So, interesting picks. We didn't really double up too much there. Only the Huntsman as our pick to click was our only double pick. So, we'll have to wait and see how those turn out. And that means it's time to shift our attention to Rotten Tomatoes. And if we look back at our predictions from last month, we just made 2 different predictions. We're either a certified fresh pick or what we were calling certified rotten. So something that scored 75% or higher, and against something that scored 25% or lower. So, Dan, your certified fresh pick was Midnight Special, and Midnight Special has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. 1 more point for you.
I'm actually surprised it's not higher, because I've not heard many negative things about it.
It's because nobody has seen it yet.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably 1 negative review, but it's...
Yeah. It's for someone that was upset that they had to wait so long to see it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I got to score you bad on that. Amanda, your certified fresh pick was Eye in the Sky, which I really didn't know much about back when you made this prediction. Eye in the Sky currently holding a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So definite certified fresh prediction point for you on that one. And my pick for certified fresh was Zootopia, and that has a 99%. So all three of us, excellent as far as predicting which films were going to score well in the Rotten Tomatoes world. If we flip it to the certified rotten designation, Dan, you had London Has Fallen, which scored currently at 23%. So you are the only person that got a point for the rotten pick, because, Amanda, you had The Brothers Grimsby, which did not score well, but it scored 38%, which is above the mark. So no point for you there. And I made the foolish mistake of picking a film that is not getting a wide enough release or enough people to even care enough to write a review. So I, by default, lose because it's not scored on Rotten Tomatoes right now. So note to self, going forward, I will make sure I pick more popular films. So no points for Amanda or myself there. So Dan, you're winning so far in the Rotten Tomatoes realm. How do you feel?
Feel good about it. Yeah, I'm glad I doubled down on London Has Fallen, I guess. Yeah.
All right, and a couple quick questions just to kind of cover some things here, because it's actually harder than you might think, because in order to pick one that was certified fresh, like we said, we had to pick one that was going to score 75% or higher, and there was only 7 films in the month of March that did that. So only had 7 films to choose from, and where it gets even harder is to get the certified rotten pick, the 25% or less, there was only 4 films to choose from. And we're making 3 different predictions, so I guess kudos for you, Dana, getting one of the 4 films that scored that terribly. Any guess, since you had the one right, on the other 3 films that would have been qualified for certified rotten?
Jeez. Well, man, what else came out that month? Let's see. Divergent? Is it?
Divergent Allegiant takes the crown, actually, as the lowest with 11%.
There you go. I don't know the other one. Maybe, is it My Big Fat Greek Wedding? My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 is right at the mark at 25%. And the other one at 15%, Tom Hiddleston, I Saw the Light. Aww. 15% right now. And I was actually anticipating that film, so that's definitely disappointing. So those were the only 4 we could have picked to be right for that, and Dan got one of those 4. Amanda, to flip it on the other side, there were 7 films that were certified fresh. We've mentioned 3 of them with Midnight Special, Eye in the Sky, and Zootopia. Any idea of what any of the other ones would be without looking at the screen?
10 Cloverfield Lane?
10 Cloverfield Lane, 89%, correct.
Shit.
The rest are going to be hard.
Third.
Guys, we had Zootopia, Eye in the Sky, Everybody Wants Some, the Linklater film that just got released. It has a 91%. 10 Cloverfield Lane, Midnight Special, Hello, My Name is Doris, and somehow The Wave is at 80%. I didn't take that film serious, and apparently I should have.
That's the 5th wave you're talking
about,
right?
No, this is The Wave, not the 5th wave. Different film.
It's not about, like, the thing you do at stadiums, right? Like, that's not...
No, it's like, I think it's just a disaster film. It seems like it's just this big wave is coming off the ocean and going to destroy a town or something.
What?
I thought that sounded like a joke, but it has an 80% right now on Rotten Tomatoes, so...
It's real big with the sci-fi crowd that also votes up Sharknado.
Must be. But maybe worth checking out, I guess. But getting into our April predictions, Dan, you were the one that got the most points so far, so we'll let you go first. Do you want to do a certified fresh or a certified rotten pick?
Considering there's less rotten, it seems, well, I'll double down on Mother's Day. I'm going to say Mother's Day is certified rotten.
I think you're wise beyond your years, because that is my pick for that as well. I think that's going to get tanked by the critics. Even if it does make a few dollars because it has some stars attached, definitely think in the Rotten Tomatoes realm it's not going to do well. Amanda, what's your certified rotten pick?
Certified rotten is going to be Criminal.
All right.
I think that looks too much like Selfless. And
that did not do well either.
Yeah, it doesn't look too original.
So Mother's Day and Criminal are 2 films that we're saying are not going to score above 25%. Dan, what is going to score well enough to be above 75%?
I'm going to go with Green Room, hopefully, because I was really anticipating that. I love Blue Ruin, so hopefully that is certified fresh.
Green Room with Patrick Stewart, Jeremy Saulnier. Definitely a lot of people anticipating that one, so I think a lot of people will be happy if that is certified fresh. I am here going to go with my Jungle Book pick as certified fresh. I was trying to debate between Huntsman and Jungle Book on where I wanted to put what, and I think Huntsman will not do as well critic-wise, but it will make some money. I think Jungle Book will probably do well in both, but I think I'm going to put it as certified fresh. Amanda, what do you have for your certified fresh pick?
I think Demolition is going to be certified fresh.
Matt, any thoughts on what our predictions are for that? We got Jungle Book, Demolition, and Green Room certified fresh, Mother's Day and Criminal certified rotten.
I think Mother's Day as a rotten and Jungle Book as a fresh are probably the safest picks.
I hope you're right, because those are both my picks. All right, so looking ahead at the other films, just in case you didn't hear them in any of our predictions, April has a little bit of everything coming out. We have the ones that have already been released, since we're doing this a little bit late. We had Meet the Blacks, God's Not Dead 2, and Miles Ahead, the Miles Davis biopic in that first weekend. Second weekend, we'll get Demolition, the Jake Gyllenhaal film, The Boss, Melissa McCarthy, Hardcore Henry, and then after that, we have The Jungle Book, Barbershop, The Next Cut, Criminal, and Green Room, followed by Elvis and Nixon, The Huntsman Winter's War, A Hologram for the King, starring Tom Hanks. And then that final week we have the animated film Ratchet and Clank, Keanu, and Mother's Day. Those are the wide release films. So, Dan, looking at that month, how do you think the whole month's going to shake out? Is it going to be a good month for film, or is it going to feed more fuel to the fire for those people that are not so high on 2016 so far?
I think it's going to be a disappointing month, or it's not going to, I don't know, it just seems lackluster, to be honest. Like, I'm hoping Jungle Book is good. I'm not sure about... Yeah,
it is one of the only months of the year that will not have a comic book film.
Yeah, well, of course, and it's awful. But, I mean, there's a lot of movies that I like, I'm not sure about. Like, Hardcore Henry, that looks, it could be cool, but it also looks like I would, like, Amanda mentioned, like, throw up 20 minutes in, because I just couldn't handle it. Keanu looks funny, so I think there'll be some good things, but I don't know if there's going to be, like, I don't know. I think it's going to be lackluster, basically. Like, some stuff here and there, but overall, more duds than good movies.
Amanda, you got a lot of stuff that we were talking about in your most anticipated list and stuff like that. We got your Melissa McCarthy film, The Boss, coming out here. We have Keanu, which you were big on, Huntsman, which you were somewhat anticipating. What's your take on this month? Are you looking forward to the month, or is it just one more to get through before you can get yourself to the likes of X-Men and Captain America coming out in later months?
Most importantly, Suicide Squad. But I think The Huntsman is something that I'm super looking forward to. I think it looks pretty sweet. I was a big fan of the first one. Also, Jungle Book does look pretty legit, so I've been mildly excited for that. Not as excited as you, Kevin, but I think one of those little video releases, I think, that I'm now anticipating after seeing 800 trailers is Tale of Tales with Selma Hayek and John C. Reilly. It looks so cool. That dark fairy tale look is kind of my thing, so I'm also really looking forward to that.
All right. I mean, it's got it has my most anticipated film of the year, The Jungle Book, coming out. So I'm hoping that doesn't disappoint me too much. And like Dan had mentioned before, I think Green Room is one to look out for that a lot of people have been anticipating. I wasn't really anticipating Elvis and Nixon, but that trailer did look somewhat funny. I'm intrigued by A Hologram for the King with Tom Hanks, and I'm hoping that Keanu is as funny as it seems like it will be in the trailer. So I think there's some along the way, but like Dan said, outside of maybe if Jungle Book makes a lot of money, there's not like those big tentpole type films coming out in April. I think we're waiting until May, June, and July to hit a bunch of those. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. And I don't think it's going to compete with March having two films that made over $250 million. I think that's a safe bet, but hopefully some gems along the way. Matt, any thoughts on the month of April as you look at the whole thing?
I don't know, man. I think The Jungle Book's going to do better than just about anything else that month. I mean, if only for its star power. It's got everyone in it, and it's a story that most people know because it's been Disney done, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I think saying that none of these are going to be real blockbusters is probably a pretty accurate statement.
All right. So that does it for our predictions for the month of April, as well as our score tallies for the month of March. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to give you an extended version of Trailer Talk, because there was a ton of trailers. I think at our count, we watched over 57 of them in preparation for this record. So we'll give you our thoughts on not all 57 of them, but some of them. So stay tuned. Also, Matt gives his thoughts on Batman versus Superman after the break.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's Optimus Solo and
Hard Candy Mandy.
And we just wanted to let you guys know about another podcast out there that we both think you would all enjoy.
It's one of both of our favorite shows to listen to, and it's none other than the True Bromance Podcast.
True Bromance is a movie podcast hosted by longtime friends Hyro and Barry, and if you like to smile, laugh, and just be genuinely entertained while listening to movie talk, then this is definitely the right show for you.
Each week, the guys break down a recently released movie, and not only do they tie in the movie that week to the beers that they are drinking during the show,
but they also tie it in to a real fun top and bottom 5 list associated with that movie.
It's a blast hearing both sides of these lists, and it definitely makes them unique amongst all other movie review podcasts.
So we definitely want to recommend all of you guys to go check out their show. Just search out the True Bromance Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and all other podcast platforms. And if you listen via iTunes, do us a favor and leave them a 5-star review. And don't forget to let them know that the Cinema Geeks sent you.
Hi, this is Greg.
This is Chuck.
And this is Dan. And we are Talking in Circles.
Because the world needs another podcast, we are here as Geekcast Radio's newest edition.
And as the title says, each week we get lost in conversation about a wide range of topics, including movies, comics, games, art, TV, and even occasionally sports.
We play games and discuss pivotal topics like who would win in a fight, the Kool-Aid Man or Tony the Tiger, and examine the hot-button issues of the world of geekdom.
We keep things fresh by taking timeless topics in new directions.
We are simply 3 friends having a fun time talking about life's most fascinating foibles.
Stay connected with us every Tuesday on iTunes or at geekcastradio.com.
All right, thanks for sticking with us. It is time for the monthly dose of trailer talk. And before we get into the, like I said, the 50-plus trailers that have come out in the last 3 to 4 weeks, one trailer probably stands out above all of those, and that came out literally today, the day that we're recording this. And if it wasn't enough for The Force Awakens to come out on Blu-ray and DVD on Tuesday, they decided to also release the trailer for Rogue One on Thursday. So it was like Star Wars overload this week. Dan will give you a chance to sound off first. Our first look at some actual footage from the next Star Wars film. How do you think it holds up, and what's your excitement level for Rogue One now?
I'll be honest, like going into it before the trailer came out, I was a little mixed on it. I was worried because I'm like, is it going to be too many Star Wars movies if we're having one every year with all these spin-offs? Gareth Edwards, I'm not the biggest fan of his work up to this point. I was like, can he really, does he deserve to do a Star Wars, basically, at this point? But
right.
The trailer, I was very happy with it. I thought it looked great. I loved the look of it. It looks like the old Star Wars, but still kind of updated. Obviously, the one shot with the walkers was pretty great. The cast is phenomenal. I mean, Ben Mendelsohn is like but him being one of the major villains wearing a cape, that's pretty badass. And even like Donnie Yen, and it's just like doing samurai moves in a Star Wars movie. I mean, that makes a lot of sense considering you see a lot of, Akira Kurosawa influence in the original Star Wars. And I don't know, I'm super excited for it. Felicity Jones looks like she's going to be great. I don't know. It looks fantastic, honestly. I'm really excited for it, so.
Yeah, I think I'm going to echo a lot of those statements. And I wasn't sold on Forrest Whitaker being in this universe. I wasn't sure on if he was going to feel like he fit or like he was a natural, kind of organic element of this, or if it was going to stand out because he has a specific way about him, and I wasn't sure it was going to necessarily fit this universe. And after seeing the trailer, I think that fear was somewhat put to bed because I think he fits in fine. But everything you said, I'm basically going to agree with, but I'll give the others a chance to talk first. Amanda, what did you think of Rogue One trailer?
I had no idea what it was going to be about. Just seeing the stills that they put out, I was trying to get a feel for what was the tone was going to be, but I was mildly surprised at how different I think it's going to be from the others. I think that it's definitely going to feel a part of the world, but a little bit different. So I'm intrigued.
Matt, obviously now all these other films that we're watching, as far as episode 7, 8, etc., are going one direction chronologically, And with Rogue One, we're obviously going back in time now, and hopefully people aren't confused by all of that, but we're going back to a time that we know fairly well and characters that are going to exist in this universe that we're somewhat familiar with. How does your anticipation build now after you've seen the trailer, and how do you think this is all going to work out?
Well, I've got a lot of thoughts on this, and I'll try to keep it brief.
Go for it.
The episodic ones are all going to go forward chronologically, but so far all of the non-episodic ones I've heard about are in the past, right? Like there's the Han Solo, there's the Boba Fett. Those all have to be in the past for make sense. So, like, I don't know if that's going to be a thing going forward 6 years from now. It's going to be like, really, another one in between 3 and 4? Although at the same time, that they can use that ability to make prequels that don't suck to fix prequels that kind of suck.
What do you think, though, as far as the element of, the possibility of running into characters that we know?
Well,
and how they handle that.
The thing that the realization I had halfway through that trailer is that James Earl Jones is still alive. And if they don't use that to their advantage, then they're messing up. The person they got to play Mon Mothma was amazing. Like, I was like, holy crap, is that the same lady just de-aged 40 years? Because, like, she was perfect. I don't know, man. I like, my excitement level is maximum. Like, I've got 2 things that pretty much define me for my hobbies, and that's Star Wars and Gundam. And it's like, they're constantly in competition. And I've been building up a lot of Gundam models, not reading a lot of Star Wars books the last month, and that's going to flip on its head just starting today.
Are you more excited for this next Star Wars film than you were for Force Awakens?
I think this trailer has me more excited than the first Force Awakens trailer did. All that Thanksgiving Day ago, for sure. So I made a pledge to myself when Disney restarted the Star Wars universe, like wiped out the expanded universe, started a new one. I made a pledge to myself that I was going to read every book in the Star Wars universe. And I'm doing a really good job because there's only like one every 4 months right now. And my favorite book so far was Battlefront Twilight Company. And that scene where there's the guys on the beaches running at the AT-ATs was just that book. That was what that book was, 100%. And so, like, that has me so excited. And it's like, yeah, this was a war, and the rebels were losing. And this is when they were really losing. This is before they ever, like, even had a glimmer of hope. And everyone in the galaxy was like, why are you even bothering trying to take down this galactic government? Like, they have so much potential, and I just hope they do not waste it.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I hope they don't waste it as well. I was excited for this, but I wasn't necessarily jumping up and down for it until I saw the trailer, and it's just nerd moments galore after you see the trailer. I think half the responses on Facebook and Twitter, as far as the people that I follow and whatnot, were like, I don't even think they were words that were being posted. So it was like squeals and things that aren't actually English words. So I think a lot of people are definitely looking forward to this film. Getting into the rest of the trailers that we've been subjected to over the last 3 to 4 weeks. I say that because I think there was maybe more terrible ones than good ones, but maybe I'm alone in that. But we're just going to kind of bounce off of each other and give you a chance to talk about any trailer that excited you, made you look forward to the movie more than you were before, or any trailer that you saw that you definitely wrote that movie off as something you're never going to watch for sure. So Amanda, why don't you start us off? Are you going to pick a yay or a nay?
I'm going to pick one that I don't know if it's a yay or a nay. We're just going to get this weird one out of the way, and that's Swiss Army Man with Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? I'm definitely intrigued, though. It had a super cool, quirky look, but I'm scared of it. Also, like, it freaked me out super bad, but I want to see it. So I don't know if this is a yay or a nay. Please, somebody else comment on
Well,
it.
Here's the thing. I have, like we said, over 50 trailers, and I wrote them all down. So as we were watching them, I was writing notes, and I was writing, mild yay, meh, yay, nay, nay with exclamation points, etc. It's the only film on here that has none of those. It literally just has WTF ?
That's what I have too, but some dots in there.
I had no idea what to make of this. I was intrigued, though, like you said, Paul Dano, Daniel Radcliffe. It appears that Daniel Radcliffe is like dead, but not dead, or dead or has some type of supernatural powers. I don't know. It looked somewhat hilarious and somewhat like nothing I've ever seen before. Dan, did you get a chance to watch the trailer for Swiss Army Man?
Yeah, that was actually when I was going to bring up, so I'm glad we're talking about it. I go yay in the sense of I'm intrigued just to see it, because it looks strange, it looks odd, the imagery is quite unique, but I don't know, there's something about it that I don't know for sure if I'm going to like it, but I know I want to watch it. So I figure at least as a trailer it's successful on that end. So yeah, it's interesting. I feel it's one of those that is going to go either way. Either I'm going to hate it and like walk out, 15 minutes in, or just be memorized by the craziness of it. So I don't know. It's an interesting premise, and like you said, it's certainly something that is unique and new, and I can't even think of anything to even relate it to. So that has it going for it. And I like Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, but I don't know, some of the things he was doing seemed a little bit too. I don't know. I was like, I don't know if that's gonna work, but maybe in context it makes more sense. But I don't know. So I would give that one overall though, yay. So.
I think regardless of if you end up hating it or loving it, I think it's definitely going to be something that you've never seen anything like it from the trailer. It definitely, I think unique is the best word for it, and we've used it 3 times in the description of that trailer. So I think that's right on. So Dan, why don't you go next? Something else that you're either excited or not excited for?
One I'll go that I'm excited for. I'll start with the positive. I'll go The Light Between Oceans. It's a much different film than Swiss Army Man. Probably a lot more straightforward, probably much more of a downer, but I like, Derek Cittafans. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong name incorrectly. He did Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines, the last 2 films, and this looks completely different than anything he did before. Much more of a period piece, but also has Michael Fassbender in it, so it's got that going for it. But I just thought the trailer itself looked quite emotional and quite, he's a director that I think allows actors to really just kind of go for it. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. So I'm thinking that there could be some Oscar buzz for that. Maybe not, but I'm not sure. But I'll go yay.
I am completely on board with that. This is one of those ones that on paper I was for, because obviously Michael Fassbender, Alicia Vikander, and the director, like you said, from Place Beyond the Pines, etc. So all that was working for it, but I was like, well, I haven't really seen anything about it yet, so I'm not going to get too excited until I see a trailer. And as watching the trailer, I am 100% on board. It does look, Amanda, like it's going to be all sorts of the feels.
Hashtag the feels.
Throughout this with the premise, and it's just kind of like a heart-wrenching scenario that they find themselves in, but I am 100% on board, and I give this one a huge yay as well.
I wrote down, good God, I'm going to have no heart left because it's going to be ripped from my chest. I think it's definitely going to be a super heavy, heartfelt movie, but I think it's going to take you through a wide range of emotions, and I think the players are definitely going to drive it home.
All right, so 3 yays for Light Between Oceans. I think for mine, I'll stay positive as well, because I feel like that's a good thing to do and not be negative Nancy quite yet. And I'll get one of the most obvious yays out of the way for me right away, since we had the sour taste in our mouth of Batman v Superman. I think it's a good way to cleanse our palate with Lego Batman, which I'm giving extra double yay to both of the teaser trailers that have come out for that one. It looks like they're just following up what they had already started with the success of the Lego movie, even though it's going to be somewhat different, but that was a great character that they had in that film, and I think the teasers have been absolutely hilarious, and I am definitely way more on board for Lego Batman than I was, because I wasn't really sure what exactly it was going to entail, but everything about those 2 teasers was hilarious. Dan, did you feel the same way, or how do you feel about the Lego Batman?
Unfortunately, I didn't see the one, I guess, I only saw the one that was listed. I guess there's another one, too, that I don't know if it was only in theaters or what, but I got the one that's online when I went to go see Batman v Superman. But either way, yeah, it looks phenomenal. It looks great. I mean, I loved Batman in the Lego movie. Will Arnett, I think it was a great voice for it. I'm curious where they're doing. It feels like they're bringing in a lot of other characters with it, too, but yeah, I am super excited for that. I think it's going to continue. I don't know if it'll be as good as the Lego movie, but it certainly will be, hopefully, within the same ballpark.
Matt, have you had a chance to see either one of the teasers for Lego Batman?
I have not.
All right, write that down. You need to see those immediately. Amanda, what did you feel about that one?
That was going to be my next yay, so Thanks. I just wrote, yes, please.
More of that, please.
Yeah.
I could just watch a series of shorts. I don't even necessarily need the movie. Like, just give me more of that character being hilarious.
I'm probably going to like it more than just the Lego movie.
You think
and
so?
Yeah, and I'm kind of sad because this is one of the Lego games I have not played yet. I think it's probably one of the first ones, right? I think it might have been the first one, Lego Batman or whatever. So, I'm excited.
Excellent. So, across the board, yays for Lego Batman. Amanda, that means it's time to go back to you. Something you're excited about or something you want to get negative on?
Oh, man, get negative. Back in the Day is a big fucking nay. Looks B-rated as fuck. Tyson and Danny Glover are both way past their prime, and both of them in one movie. No. Normally I like boxing movies with the montage, and I dig it, but this one, no. I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out if the main character's face was, like, constructed of, like, prosthetics, or if that was really his face.
Nice.
Yeah, just big nay.
The fact that it was billed as a Danny Glover and Baldwin film, first of all, had me a little bit skeptical. Then the fact that it was a boxing film, and I'm not huge on boxing films, and then when Mike Tyson shows up in the last 10 seconds of the trailer, I about fell out of my chair as writing nay and terrible things about this on my sheet of paper. But no, this looks awful. Back in the Day is not going to be... it should stay back in the day. It should not come to our day. Dan, I don't know if you saw that one or not.
Yeah, it just looks... I'm watching it, like, this seems straight to video. It just seems like... yeah, don't see this one hitting the theaters anytime soon.
No, not at all. What else you got, Dan?
Well, I'll preface this in saying naming be a strong word, but I was at least disappointed with the trailer for Finding Dory. I don't know. I love Finding Nemo, and I guess maybe I was expecting more from it. It didn't have me nearly as excited as I was hoping. There wasn't like a hook to me as much as I thought there could be. Maybe it was just expectations were too high. It just seemed kind of similar. Like, it didn't seem like the Pixar originality, or they weren't doing anything unique with this one. Again, it's only a trailer, too early to say, but overall, I would say, the trailer, for the first trailer at least, for Finding Dory, I would give it an A.
I'm kind of with you. I think the same thing. I was kind of May to nay on that one. It didn't necessarily do anything to excite me any more than the fact that what the title is and what the story is as far as the connections to Finding Nemo, but it didn't necessarily add any excitement to me so far. Amanda, what do you think about Finding Dory?
Forgettable. I don't even remember much of the trailer.
All right, that says enough. I'm going to go with a nay as well, since we're all being negative this round, and I will go with, and I think all I shouldn't really need to do is just list the movie title, and I shouldn't really have to say much more about it, and that would be Friend Request.
Oh, God, that movie just made me angry. It's just like, oh, man.
Like, we just had Unfriended last year, and now we have something called Friend Request, and my ask is, can we just stop with anything remotely involving...
It's going to terrify the shit out of a bunch of tweens, though. I hope they stop using their Facebook for a little while.
I don't want any movies based on Facebook or Twitter in the horror genre to be made in the next 5 years. I think we should put a ban on that.
You don't watch horror movies anyway, so what do you care?
Even the hearing that existed made my brain hurt.
They're making an emojis movie, okay? So
what about a horror movie where the ghost of MySpace returns? You thought it was dead.
I can still log into my MySpace right now.
I tried doing that, and they deleted all my stuff, like, a week ago.
Nope, not you, Matt.
But yeah, Friend Request, double nay for me. So, Amanda, I can't believe you haven't talked about one yet, and I don't know if you're going to use it this round or if you're saving it for last, but...
Isn't this the last round?
No, not necessarily.
What?
There was like 57 trailers. We've only talked about
the thing says 1 to 3. 1 to 3.
What else do you have?
I am going for a big fucking yay for Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Peculiars. I really, 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 really need to read the novels now. I tried to pick up the first one the other day, and it was sold out. I think that the look of this is right up my alley. I don't think I've seen a movie like this, really. I feel like it's kind of unique, and or maybe not completely. Maybe it's just me being weird, but I think that all of the characters look super intriguing, and the story might be a little childish, but I'm okay with that, and I'm just ready. I don't want to wait anymore. And Ava Green normally puts out some pretty quality stuff, so I'm intrigued to see her in a kind of a more kid-friendly role. I normally see her in some really adult shit, so it'll be fun to see her in a different light.
Yeah, I wasn't really on board with Miss Peregrine's House of Peculiars as much as you were when we were talking about most anticipated films, etc. But I liked the trailer. I think I'm a little bit more on board than I was before. I thought the trailer looked interesting. I'm a sucker for, fantasy genre as well, so I put down a yay for that one as well. Dan, did you see that trailer?
I did, and it's strange because it doesn't it seems like a Tim Burton movie, but at the same time it doesn't seem like a Tim Burton movie because it's a little bit lighter, and I think the look of it is certainly unique. So yeah, that was a very good teaser, like how they're using the powers, and I thought like that was really kind of original, and the concept seems intriguing. So yeah, I think it's, considering all the other like YA genre films that we've seen or genre movies we've seen, that one seems far beyond most of them, like Maze Runner or Divergent series or whatever. So
yeah, it seems like it's in a little different type.
Yeah.
To go above those, I agree with that statement.
Am I the only one thinking it's like a unique storyline? Is this more like some Secret Garden shit?
No, I think it sounds unique. It seems unique. So I think it's got an interesting feel, and it's going to separate itself from a lot of that other YA fare. So, Dan, what do you have next?
Where to go? Let's see. I'm going to go with. I'll go with a yay. And I'm a big fan of Andy Samberg. I think he does, and I like many people like what he did with SNL and all that music stuff. And right. I didn't even know Popstar was a movie coming out. I don't know. I completely missed that, but Popstar looks a lot funny. It looks pretty funny. Judd Apatow helping out with that kind of a mockumentary type of film. I think it could be. It could be like a one-joke movie for sure, but I think it looks quite good. And that and kind of cheating, I'll do that. And War Dogs, not War Pigs. That's that War Dogs. I feel like we might have some good comedies this year because War Dogs looks like it might be quite good.
Yeah, I am a fan of Andy Samberg. I wasn't sold completely on that trailer for Popstar. I was kind of just in the middle for it, but I am hoping, just to have faith in Andy Samberg and that it will be funny. But I'm very much with you on War Dogs. I think that looks crazy and absurd and somehow based on a true story and yet funny. And I'm a big fan of Jonah Hill, so I'm looking forward to War Dogs. Amanda, are you mixed on those two or excited or not?
Never Stop, Never Stopping, the Popstar one. Takes a whole village to make me look dope. Yeah, I'll see it.
Nice. I'm going to do another nay, a big nay, and, man, could somebody just at least take control of the movie selections from Bruce Willis so he's no longer able to decide those things on his own? Because Precious Cargo is it's like an action thriller starring Bruce Willis and Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. And first of all, how did Mark Paul Gosselaar get a film role? And second, Bruce Willis, what are you doing with yourself? Like, he just doesn't care, does he? He just, any film that's an action or sci-fi or anything, he will just say yes to. And Precious Cargo looks absolutely garbage. So I'm just more disappointed in the fact that, number one, Bruce Willis is in this film and playing against, but I'm intrigued by the fact that he's playing against Mark Paul Gosselaar in this. So it's just awful. Dan, I'm right? That looked awful?
Yeah, like, I don't even know. I have no words. I just can't take him serious. I feel bad for him, but it's like, can't take Zach Morris seriously as an actor. So trying to see him in like a action thriller, it's just like, it doesn't. I'm just waiting for him to do Time Out and start. It's just not.
I mean, I know he's done a lot of TV work in the last, 4 or 5 years, but I don't think it's.
It just also seems so cliche. It just seems like another one of. I like heist films, but it just seems kind of just.
It looks like it could battle like American Heist from last year as one of the worst heist films.
It's kind of paint by numbers, nothing really.
Yeah. All right, Amanda, you said you only had enough for that last round. Do you have any more that you want to throw out there for shout-outs?
We only had 875 trailers to pick from. Of course, I have some more stuff.
What else do you got?
This kind of goes against my grain, but I'm going to say a yay for Me Before You. I think that I'm already vested emotionally in this movie. Like, I want to cry just seeing the trailer. I think that Emilia Clarke is a cute, quirky character that I can definitely relate to, and I think that it'll be a really heartfelt journey to see the love between them develop and what they do for each other's lives. And, you know, based on what I'm seeing in the trailer, I think that it's definitely going to be something that I'm going to cry and enjoy at the same time.
A lot of films on this list that can give you the feels. I had a mild yay for this one as well. I wasn't 100% sold, but intrigued enough that I wouldn't fight watching this one with you. I think I'm interested to see what else Emilia Clarke can do, and it definitely looks sad.
Yeah.
So
it was just weird.
Like, I'm gonna die.
It's weird for me seeing her play like a role where she seems like she's like a younger character, like almost. It just seems odd. I'm not saying the movie's bad, but considering like thinking of what she did in Game of Thrones and then seeing this character, which is impressive. Yeah. She can kind of has range, but I agree. That does look like it could be good. But.
All right, Dan, that makes it your turn. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think I'm gonna go with nay for Pete's Dragon. Just because it's like, whoever thought we needed a gritty reboot of Pete's Dragon? I mean, I don't know if it's based on something else. I mean, it could end up being good, but I guess when I clicked on that trailer, I had this idea in my head of what Pete's Dragon is, and then I'm like, this is not at all what I thought it could be. But it could be good, but I don't know. It just feels like, do we really need this to be a thing? And there's no song? Come on. Like, that just seems like it...
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I was absolutely not interested in this film at all. I will say that the trailer was not what I was expecting, and I don't know if it was just the fact that it wasn't what I was expecting that kind of threw me off, but it almost intrigued me a little bit just because I'm like, this is not... I'm so confused right now, so now I'm somewhat interested because I'm confused, but I have not been interested in Pete's Dragon yet, so it's going to take more than that to get me on board. What did you think about that one, Amanda?
I'm not a huge fan of Pete's Dragon. I think that it was some weird feral child thing, and I'm like, is this Lord of the Flies, Jungle Book? What the fuck is this? Yeah.
Beyond Thunderdome. Yeah. I'm with you on that one, though. I was not quite sure what to make of that one. For my next one, I will do a yay, something that at least intrigued me more than I thought it would. And there was a couple that did that, actually. There was probably about 3 or 4 that at least somewhat upped the ante a little bit for me. And one of them I'll go with is Deepwater Horizon. Maybe I'm just a sucker for those types of disaster-ish films. This is about oil rigging and basically a disaster that Mark Wahlberg takes part in. I don't know if it's based on one of the actual oil spills from back in the, whatever it was, the 90s or not. I don't know if it's based on a true story or not. But Deepwater Horizon just looks like, not necessarily like it's not going to be a critically acclaimed Oscar-worthy film, but I'm hoping it's one of those where you can just shut your brain off and just have fun with it. Just kind of a general disaster film. So almost gave me a feel of like, not quite Armageddon, but because that's a little bit more...
I thought it looked like Armageddon.
Sci-fi, but kind of a little bit of that vibe. So I wasn't as interested in it before I saw the trailer. Now at least it's on my radar. So that's why I put it as a yay. Amanda?
I think I'm going to go with another nay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I was a little offended. And that's Hush. And they're like, the whole thing that they set up, she can't hear. She can't speak. It's just... setting up this deaf girl as a victim, and I'm like, okay, just because she's deaf doesn't mean she can't speak, for one. And number 2, they have a lot of ways to communicate. So just because, hey dude, you took her phone, she's gonna have a TTY or something in her house. Like, there's gonna be some more ways for her to reach out. And I guarantee that a deaf girl who doesn't have a complete kind of safety net around her with being able to hear is going to leave her front door unlocked in the middle of the wilderness. So I just had a lot of problems with it, and it was kind of offensive to the deaf community.
Hit a personal chord with you.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck, dude?
All right, so we're not doing too much positive talk about any of the horror films that we saw trailers for. Dan, any thoughts on Hush, or what do you have next?
No, I kind of agree with it. It looks kind of just like a cheap way to try to build a concept. It's like, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that at all. Actually, I'll probably go with the movie maybe that I knew nothing about, and after the trailer I was most intrigued by, and that's Kill Your Friends, which sounds bad, I guess, but I don't know. Something about it seems very, like, unique and different. I love Nicholas Hoult. I feel like is doing a lot of cool things recently. I think so. The concept seems fun, kind of like dark comedy, horror-ish, crime. I don't know. It looks like it could be quite good. So I'm thinking.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult and Ed Skrein.
Yeah,
however you say that dude's name.
So I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, it definitely, again, looked a little bit unique, a little bit off the beaten path, and I could see that. I could see it going both ways, but I was intrigued by that one as well, and I knew nothing about that beforehand. So I'm going to go with a crazy one here, and I'm going to say I like the trailer, even though I still think this film is going to be awful. But the trailer for Ben-Hur, just because...
Talking about offensive movies.
Just watching Morgan Freeman in the hairstyle and everything. And then, not that it's not... I mean, there's enough correlations between the way that this film seems like it's going to be depicted and the way that Gladiator was back in the day. And I'm not trying to compare these two films, but they even use a line almost from Gladiator. But instead of saying, "Are you not entertained?" he says something like, "Are we having fun yet?"
It's more authentic to the period, I guess.
So I had to put it on there just because at least the trailer gave me a chuckle. I don't know if I'll actually watch this film, but I was mildly entertained by the trailer.
So you did have mild fun with this, what you're saying?
I had mild fun with it in a terrible way. Like this is so bad it's fun type of thing. And it's like Morgan Freeman was trying to it was like a combination of if you took Gladiator, the original Ben-Hur, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and like something just terrible and added it all together.
And took away everything good about those movies.
Yeah. And basically just left in the cheese and everything else. But
yeah, whenever we're doing whatever month that comes out, I'll just say now it'll probably be my certified rotten film. So.
I think that's a safe bet for sure. All right, this round we'll just do any quick hits, Amanda. So don't necessarily go into any, but any just like real quick that we haven't talked about that you want to say yay or nay to, and without going into detail too much.
I've got one, and I mentioned it previously, and that's Tale of Tales. I think that it's got sort of a Pan's Labyrinth look to it, and I was like, man, is this Guillermo del Toro? But then getting into it, it doesn't look exactly like something that he's done before. At first, too, I thought it was like a continuation of the Cirque du Freak movies, because Salma Hayek and John C. Reilly are in that, and it's, you know, the same kind of creepy feel. So it took me a second to get into it to realize that it wasn't one of those Cirque du Freak movies. But there's a ton of really awesome, creepy visuals in this, and the story seems off the wall. So I'm definitely excited for
another interesting addition in the fantasy genre, and another evidence of apparently a fact that I did not know, which is Salma Hayek is in 300 movies this year, only to be outdone by Ethan Hawke, who is apparently in more movies than her. So I think they were in together at least half of the trailers that we saw. Dan, any a variety of films that you want a quick yay or quick nay to?
Sure. Search Party with T.J. Miller looks like it could be a decently fun road trip movie. Not like high hopes for it, but I think it could be okay.
Right.
Let's see. Last Days in the Desert. I just think that's interesting because I keep thinking of that meme where you had the person who misunderstood Ewan McGregor for Jesus when he was playing Obi-Wan Kenobi. So seeing him now actually play Jesus, it seems like it's the role he was born to play. So
I think somebody did that to poke fun at him, honestly. I don't think anybody's let him in on the joke yet.
Yeah. So that I'm interested. I'd be curious to how that works. Anything else? Sausage Party, just because there's so many people in my fantasy movie league that are in that movie. I thought the first, the opening was funny, but I just don't know if that can keep it up for an entire film. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. For me, a couple that I just wanted to throw out there. One More Time with Christopher Walken. I thought that looked awesome just for the fact of seeing Christopher Walken do something that's not necessarily just completely comedic, something that maybe has a little bit of a serious touch to it as well. I thought that looked interesting. I guess I'm going to throw Nina on there just because this is the test, I guess, for Zoe Saldana to see if she can really
go all the way black.
Wow.
She's always so white. Like, she always acts so freaking white.
Anyways, I don't know anything about the real story of Nina Simone, so I'm, I guess, somewhat intrigued by that. The other ones that I had down here, I had Colonia with Emma Watson from Harry Potter. That's the right Emma, right?
Is there?
I thought that looked very creepy and, I don't know, for some reason intriguing to me from that standpoint. And then the only other ones I wanted to point out were Genius, just because the combination of Colin Firth, Jude Law, and Guy Pearce is fascinating to me. And then I know we've all seen it already, but Central Intelligence, I'm still on board because of The Rock, so I'll give that.
You're actually down for that movie?
I watch anything The Rock's in, regardless of if it's bad or good.
I thought I was the only one.
And then a couple quick nays for me. Bridget Jones' Baby.
Yeah,
I skipped that one. I'm like, I'm good. Yeah.
Like, that just looks ridiculous, and nobody should go see that. But and the only other thing that I'll mention that I didn't know Mel Gibson was going to do any more movies.
Yeah. So I kind of think it looks like it could be okay, but I don't know.
I think it looks like Mel Gibson in his element as a completely crazy don't mess with me type, almost like channeling his character from Payback, and it's like another Taken version, but a little bit different. So I was intrigued by that one at least. So there was a bunch of other trailers. Obviously, we'll have the links to all of them in the episode post, so you can kind of chime in on what things you liked and what things you didn't like, and if you think we're crazy for the ones we're yaying or crazy for the ones we're naying. Matt, you've been sitting quietly on the sidelines listening to us babble about movies that are coming out in the coming months, and now's your chance. You didn't get to talk about Batman vs. Superman last week. We apologize for that. You heard that Amanda was 7 out of 10, Dan was 5 out of 10, I was 3 out of 10. I don't know if you got the chance to listen to the episode to see where we fell on certain elements, but the floor is yours, the soapbox is yours. Give us your thoughts on Batman vs. Superman.
Well, I did listen to the other episode, and I was kind of surprised at what Amanda said, because there's almost nothing here worth talking about that's positive. But I wanted to give you guys the chance to choose how I talk about this. Do you want me to just do how Kevin does? This is how I felt going in, this is how I felt coming out. Do you want me to just ramble on? Or I thought maybe I could try to take just a couple of minutes and see this is how I would rewrite it if I were given this script before it went to production.
Ooh, I like that last one.
Yeah? Do you want me to put a timer, put like 5 minutes on the clock? Because I was thinking we could just do a segment or whatever where it's just like 5-minute rewrite.
Go for it.
All right, I got 5 minutes on the clock. I'm going to tell you all the things I would try to change in Batman v Superman if I was given the script and only had a few minutes to look it over. And starting the 5 minutes now. All right, so first off, Batman's motivations are the best motivations of anyone in the movie, and they are weak at best. You need an entire movie just to explain why Batman's doing the things he's doing. Like, it's like, oh, he's in a dark place, but, like, all you get is, oh, hey, look, there's a Robin suit. Robin's probably dead. There's a burned-out mansion. Does someone know who Bruce Wayne is? But, like, they don't explain any of it, and it just falls really flat. And his are the best motivations of just about anyone, other than the Senator, who was 100% like a logical character. Like, no, I'm going to tell this guy he can't bring a thing in. I'm going to tell Superman he's a little ridiculous. I'm just going to, she was a wet blanket, but she made the most sense other than Batman. So Batman getting a second movie before this is the best way to do that, but I don't think it's in the spirit of what I'm trying to do here. So to rewrite that so that it works in this movie, I think you need to change fundamentally everything Batman does. Like, he needs to not kill. I love Frank Miller's Batman. I've read a lot of Batman comics. Frank Miller's Batman is one of the most fun to read because he is ultra-violent and oftentimes ridiculous, but still there are two things that Frank Miller's Batman still doesn't do, is he doesn't kill and he doesn't use guns. So even if you're emulating Frank Miller's Batman, you still have to hold to those two tenets. I think Batman and Superman were both very similar characters that had, like, weak motivations. They're doing the same things. They want to stop each other, but I don't know why, because they're doing the same things. And, like, the only argument I could kind of get is that Batman's a human, and he's like, humans should police humans, and Superman's like, I'm not a human, I know how to look in on humans. But even then, that wasn't explained or even, like, explained visually or even just told to us. So I want one of them to take the moral high ground, and I want that to be Batman. Superman's got the powers. I want to have the moral high ground. So, like, I want to see, you know, I'd love to see Joker kill Robin and Batman still go dark and then, like, punch out his teeth, and that's why he has metal teeth in the next movie. And Batman just going dark, but still not killing people and not using guns. So that moment where Superman kicks the Batmobile into a building and says, you're done, Batman can look Superman right in the eyes, look the big blue Boy Scout right in the eyes and goes, at least I didn't kill anyone. Like, how hardcore would that moment be? Like, Batman would get 1,000 more cred. It's everything everyone said about Batman v Superman before this movie was announced, where it's like, Batman's more hardcore, Superman's not. And it's like, oh, is Batman more hardcore? Like, he's got the personality, but he's not killing. Because as soon as Batman murders one of Lex Luthor's bodyguards because he wants to steal a piece of rock from Lex Luthor, but he doesn't kill the Joker, that invalidates everything Batman stands for. Like, and then if we have a moment later in the next Ben Affleck solo Batman movie where he has a chance to kill a Joker and he chooses not to, it's like, well, I don't have any feelings for this Batman, and I don't like anything he's doing. So
What if his mother's name is Martha, though?
Oh, shit. I didn't think about that. The Joker's mother's name should be Martha, because then he won't kill him. Like, there's too much to cover in just 5 minutes, which is why I like having the little timer. The only other thing that I really want to hit home is, like, I thought the portrayal of women in this movie was terrible. Like, first off, there's almost no women, and I get it's a boys fighting boys thing, yada yada, comic books, but still, there should be women in there. Lois Lane was only there to get captured multiple times. She gets kidnapped 2 or 3 times in this one movie. And for some reason, she can get pushed off the top of a building, and Superman can be there from Antarctica before she hits the bottom. But then, like, 3 thugs show up at Martha Kent's work and capture her, no problem. And she's running and screaming for the whole time? I don't quite get that. So, like, have women do something where they're not just getting kidnapped. That would be amazing. You know, Lois Lane gets herself into trouble. That's been a thing in the comic books for 80 years. But a lot of the time, she can get herself out of it. That's one of the things that makes her an amazing character. So maybe if she gets kidnapped 3 times, she gets out 2 on her own. Like, maybe not rely on Superman. And also, maybe she can have conversations with Superman where she's not naked for no reason. Or how about the fight with Wonder Woman where she's getting knocked through buildings, dragged across the ground, never once gets a scratch, never once bleeds, never once gets dirt on her bare skin. Like, they didn't treat women right. They didn't treat women like they were characters in this movie. And that was one of the things that I took away as a terrible thing. And I've only got 3 seconds, so I'm going to stop it there.
All right, so where did you come? Oh, there's the timer. Where did you come down overall with a score out of 10 if you were having a score?
8. I'm gonna go with 8. Is that
That's about right. -8 out of 10. No, like a 2 at like a 3 at best. But really, I would rather rewatch Super Mario Brothers than this movie. So I'm gonna say 2.
Oh man, Jesus! I don't even know if I could say that.
Super Mario Brothers had charm.
Speaking of Super Mario Brothers, kind of a good segue there. I do want to thank everybody for the feedback that we got on our first video game episode. We got a lot of positive feedback and some people calling us brave souls to go down this video game series marathon thing that we're doing. So a lot of people that are looking forward to it, and it actually was one of our most listened to, most downloaded episodes for the entire year. So thanks to everybody for reacting well to what we thought was a crazy idea to just talk about video game films. I didn't realize it would resonate so well with everybody. So thank you for the feedback from that, and we definitely will be continuing that. Like we said, we have Double Dragon as the next one on the list that will be coming out sometime in April here. So the only thing that we watched that we'll just bring up real quick is, as far as the 2016 release, I did watch finally Up and WALL-E, but we'll get to that maybe in some other time. But I will say they are as good as advertised for sure. But the 2016 release that we saw was Eye in the Sky. We got to see that this last week, obviously starring Helen Mirren and, Alan Rickman's final film role. And I would say that I would recommend this one. I wasn't necessarily anticipating this. Amanda was not looking forward to going to see this at all. She said she's going to be bored. And I think it's safe to say that we both pretty much were sitting on the edge of our seats for almost that entire film. Right, Amanda?
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. I mean, it got a little frustrating with that one. There's one lady that just, I think she makes one good point throughout the entire
there is a lady
decision-making process
that you definitely want to punch in the face the entire film, but it leads us to an epic final moment from Alan Rickman in the film.
Most epic, yes.
Basically telling her where to go. So that was awesome. But if you're a fan of films like Zero Dark 30, I kind of set that up like I was going to have a bunch of films to say, and it's really just Zero Dark 30. But if you're a fan of that film, I think you will like this film. I think it's excellently done. I think there are some things, you could probably find some little minor problems and some things that maybe aren't necessary when it comes to a couple of the characters, but I think it does a very good job of kind of portraying all the different aspects of what goes into a decision like this. And for people that don't know, Eye in the Sky is just basically following the joint effort between the United States and the British intelligence / military of kind of surveillance on some known terrorists, and basically locating them and then having to have the decision of whether or not to fire on that location, and how we come to the moral decision of what to do and how to deal with the collateral damage that might come from this blast. And it's just an interesting conundrum, and it kind of does raise a bunch of different moral dilemmas and questions. And I think it's just handled pretty expertly, outside of maybe, like I said, a couple minor things that we won't get into for spoiler reasons. But I would definitely recommend this to anybody that likes kind of that type of film that deals with kind of the other side of war. It's like a war film that really doesn't have to deal with too much of actual war. It's more kind of that surveillance and the fight on terror. So I would recommend it. I would probably give this one an 8 out of 10. Amanda, where would you sit on it?
I give it like a 7.
So 7 out of 10 for Amanda, 8 out of 10 for me. That's it for the 2016 films that we saw this week. There is nothing coming out on Blu-ray this next week, so save your money, unless you want to see, maybe get the combo pack of Justice League versus Teen Titans, or the 4-movie collection of American Pie, the unrated version. Other than that, there's really nothing coming out. So, all right. Thanks as always for tuning in to the Cinema Geeks this week. You can contact us in a bunch of ways. First of all, you can email at feedback@geekcastradio.com. Just let them know that you're leaving an email for the Cinema Geeks show. You can visit the geekcastradio.com website, where you can click on all the different episode posts and comment there. We will definitely interact with you there. We always have a bunch of 3, 4, 5, 6 different people commenting on the website, and we like interacting with you guys there. If you want to keep up to date with all things Geekcast Radio Network related, visit the Facebook page and just search out Geekcast Radio Network. All the new episode posts, blog posts, reviews get posted there. Also, you can directly interact with us through Twitter. The network is at Geekcast Radio. The show is at Cinema Geekcast. Amanda, your personal Twitter is?
Hard Candy Mandy, Eyes, No Wise.
Mine is Optimus Solo. Dan, your Twitter is?
I'm at Movie Revolt.
And Matt?
I'm at Fridley Scent.
All right, so stay tuned for what will be coming out in April. Double Dragon, the first of our Miyazaki Spotlight, and much more. So that is it for us. Be sure to check in next week for another chance to listen to the Cinema Geeks.
You always make that same noise at the end.
Oh, do I? My bad.
I know it's not included in this list, but I'm assuming do you want to talk Star Wars trailer? Or?
Yeah, that has been added.
Okay.
It was a sneaky one because they put out a trailer for the trailer last night and then just released it this morning.
Yeah. they try to like announce it's going to be on Good Morning America. I'm like, I'm not going to watch Good Morning America for anything. So it's I'll just wait for it to come online.
Right.
Nice try.
Which was pretty much simultaneously anyway.
Yeah, I'll wait for the tweets and the Facebook posts, and then I'll just click on one of those videos.